So I did have a written testimony that I was going to read to you, but I do have added some notes. I'll be quick. I know this has been a long night, but there are just some things that I would like to address after hearing some of what the business owners have been talking about against the minimum wage increase. And I'm obviously for the minimum wage increase to $15. This is a complicated issue, and I appreciate everyone's viewpoint in this issue, especially in the food service industry, because this is an industry that I've spent 20 years in and feel very passionate about. There's just some things that I would like to point out. Number one is that not everyone has the same experience. We do need to acknowledge certain privileges that we have, so that it is easy to say that it's easy to walk out of a job. I know for me it might be easier than somebody else. So I think that that needs to be acknowledged at some point. You know, we all have our own hardships, but there are certain things that other people deal with that maybe make walking out on a job more difficult. So I do think that that's something that we need to acknowledge in this conversation. I think that this needs to be a broader conversation. I don't like how it's become this or that. There's no in between. Small business owners seem to be very upset about this because they seem to feel that they're going to bear the burden of this, where I do think that that is a failure of the state, to that small business owners feel like that they need to deny their workers a livable wage for their own business to survive. I just read an article about some corporations in Rhode Island, really large corporations that have incredibly large amount of their employees getting Medicaid benefits. So I do think that there's some priorities in the state that need to change. I know that that's not necessarily about this bill, but I do think that the conversation needs to be broader than just this or that, $11 or $15. Let's make an environment where small businesses can thrive and be the businesses that they want and that they can stay in the state, instead of giving these major tax giveaways to large corporations that therefore have their employees leech off our system and our tax dollars. So that's just two things I would like to add to this, but I'm just going to read my letter because I know it's a long night. So to the committee members, my name is Maggie Kane, and I come to you today to speak of my support regarding this bill. I have worked in restaurants in some capacity for over 20 years. I've worked with an array of different types of people coming from all walks of life: students, parents, artists, immigrants, and extra income earners. One group rarely mentioned is the worker who has made a career out of working for the restaurant industry. I hear a lot about restaurant owners or college kids working in Galilee for the summer, but I don't hear much about support regarding the large population that's found their passion in the food service industry. I have met many people over the years who have found working in restaurants very fulfilling and rewarding, including myself. I had a lot of different jobs, but this is where I feel the best at. And in the past 10 years, Rhode Island has been put on the map regarding farm-to-table restaurants and local breweries. There's really a vibrant food movement here, and it's important to our tourist industry, especially where I live. But I want you to realize, when you talk about Rhode Island restaurant industry, we are talking about a large number of workers who do very manual and stressful work behind the scenes to make this industry what it is today. And I wonder, why isn't this work seen as much of a value as other industries? And why isn't it promoted as much? I think about Rhode Island's image as a foodie destination, and I think about pride and value. Pride comes from knowing you are part of something that we as restaurant workers have a stake in. Value comes from knowing that this food movement would not exist without us. But we want our benefits. We see there are many benefits from this movement being a success. But we want benefits like not having to work over 40 hours to be able to support ourselves and help raise a family. Benefits like being able to afford housing and insurance and putting away money for retirement. Why is there no value in restaurant work when it is a huge portion of Rhode Island's economy? When it's honest work that provides a huge cultural value to Rhode Island? Raising the minimum wage to $15 is the first step in many to help relieve the income inequality that affects so many people in Rhode Island. And I'm going to leave on this note. One huge correlation that I've experienced working in restaurants is that there's a lot of political indifference of the workers. And I think that they feel like the political world does not regard them or value them. And I think supporting this bill would be a huge move towards engaging a population that sees politics as a world for insiders and the well-to-do. Because someone's going to organize these workers at one point and eventually get them to see the value in themselves and their voices as citizens of Rhode Island. So I thank you for your time.